Let's take a look at some Friday racing over at Santa Anita. Just want to let you all know that for the Santa Anita Classic meet, they have PPs, clocker reports every single day, DRF picks over at drf.com, shop.drf.com, everything you need to succeed in your handicapping at drf.com. So for me, I'm going to have 3 plays on Friday at Santa Anita. We'll be looking at races 1, 4, and 6 for my plays. Just wanted to mention for those of you who are contest players, there's a big one on Saturday that you can play at Santa Anita, at Gulfstream Park, or at Express Bet. It's the Pegasus World Cup Betting Championship, $6,000 to enter. So it's a hefty entry fee, but around $250,000 in prizes. Last year they gave out $280,000. The winner took down about $125,000. So it's worth it's worth the big swing. You can actually qualify on Friday with Express Bet for $1,000 entry. So if you qualify out of that tournament, you won't have to pay as big. Some of you may have qualified through the $80 feeder or other tournaments over the last few weeks. Good luck if you're going to get involved in that on Saturday or in the qualifier on Friday, trying to win your way in so you won't have to pay quite as much. We're going to build a bankroll on Friday at Santa Anita because it's a big Saturday at Gulfstream Park with Pegasus Day. Let's talk race number 1 right off the bat. I'm going to look at the number 5. Where is ZZ? Shout out to ZZ here. This is a 3-year-old filly who's now going to come into the Antonio Garcia barn. She's going to try turf for the first time. Before we even talk about the pedigree, she thought her debut race was solid. She finished second that day. She lost to a horse named Clubhouse Bride, who was a 7-length winner and then came back and won her second start and beat winners. So a 2-for-2 undefeated filly, Clubhouse Bride, has some talent. That's who Where Is ZZ lost to in the debut. And Where Is ZZ actually broke on top and then had to take back because Clubhouse Bride made a big early move to the lead and just kind of flew by. And Where Is ZZ loomed up to challenge that day, but was no match for her rival. She did finish 4 lengths clear of the third place finisher. She ran a winning type race that day. She just ran into a very nice horse. She hooked a good one. She's going to get Lasix for the first time. She's going to try turf for the first time. And when we click on the formulator past performances, we can see that the Dam was a winner on the turf. In fact, the Dam was a stakes winner on the turf and had a really good success. You can see only once was out of the money in 6 turf starts. So there's turf in the pedigree. This horse had a good debut. I think he was a little bit better than it might look on paper. The horse came back out of that race and beat winners. And stretching out now, I think she will be right on the front end or sitting close. Right next door, there's some other speed with Lamborghini, and there's some other pace horses in here, but I just feel like the stretch out and the move to turf is going to help this filly who's naturally got some ability. Where is ZZ? 8-1 on the morning line. If we can get anything above 5, I think that's fair value in race number 1 at Santa Anita on Friday. Let's move to race number 4 at Santa Anita on Friday. This one is a mile on the turf for Calabreds. And I'm going to start with the number 1, Birch Prospect. I thought both of the inside 2 horses make some sense in here. I think they're both worth using if you're playing any sort of multi-exotics. But the one I like a little more is Birch Prospect. In his debut, he was right on the lead. They were going pretty quick that day. And I was expecting him to show more speed again in his second start, and he just did not do that. I thought he sort of ran sneaky, though. We can watch some of that race right now. He's the number 6 in this race that we're about to watch. This was his second start. This was on December the 30th at Santa Anita. He broke inward, kind of bumped a little bit, and then after that bump, it took him a little while to get into a nice stride. He got squeezed out of a spot that was right in between the 4 and the 7. So instead of being right around where Dark Marcus is, he ends up being last in this field early on. And what I like about this is in his debut, he showed us that he has a little bit of speed. And in this race, he showed us that he can pass horses and he can come from off the pace in here. So I can't imagine they were expecting to be dead last early in this race and 7, 8 lengths off of it. But Dettori's able to get him to settle nicely. And what he'll do is he'll tip him out early and he makes a big 3 wide move all the way up to just about 2 lengths off the pace. And right about here is where they ask Bert's prospect for some run. And here he goes. He makes a nice early move. And he blows by a couple of the horses right in front of him. And then that next tier of horses, you can see he gets all the way up to about 2 off or so before he just flattens out. It was a little too much for him to do, having to come from last, move all the way around up into contention. Just ran out of a little bit of the steam here. But right here, he's not far out of it. He's just out in about the 5-6 path. And the difference between where Bert finishes and second is really not much. It's about a length. So on paper, where you see a horse that is fifth, would look so much better if they were second, even beaten a few lengths. I thought it was a good effort from Bert's prospect. I thought he has the ability now to take another step forward because you can look at those 2 races and you can say that he has versatility in there. We know he's been able to show some speed, but he's also a horse that can come from out of it and pass horses like we just saw. 8-1 on the morning line. Item stacked around 5. So if we can get anything over 9-2, I think that's fair value on him. Third play at Santa Anita on Friday is in the 6th race, which on paper is pretty contentious. I do think Gregorian Chant is going to get bet a little bit in here. I'm going to mention him because if he is 7-2 or above, that's a great price on him in here. He's a horse who likes to win races, but in his last couple of years, he's had a tough time stringing races together. About middle point of 2022, he's off for a few months. You can see he shows back up in October twice, off for a couple months. Back in December, then he's off for 10 months. Shows back up, runs once, off for a few months. So he's had a tough time getting and really building up the fitness level. And when you look at some of the recent races, that January 1st race was a weird one because the horse who won that day was named Zaffarelli, and he went wire to wire. And Zaffarelli never had shown that type of speed before. He's a deep closer. And Barrios just put him right on the front end, and the complexion of the race was much different than one might have thought when handicapping it. Gregorian Chant actually ran well that day, and it just didn't get the pace that he needs to run at. That's what you need with Gregorian Chant. He's not a deep closer, but he doesn't have the type of early speed to really run his own race and dictate it. He'll always show up. He always passes some horses, but nowadays he needs a little help up front. I think he gets it in here. So going through the field, you have Grazed, who's really fast. He'll be forwardly placed. Mana Rose has to go. He'll be forwardly placed. Devil Moon right next door, really quick. He'll be forwardly placed. Both the 7 and the 8, very fast. And even a horse like Jetivator from way out wide wouldn't be shocked if they try to get this horse forward early and not have to be parked as wide. So I'm seeing 5, maybe even 6 speed horses in this race. Normally, I don't like horses that draw the rail in sprint races where they have to come from out of it. It's a tough journey to negotiate sometimes. The way this race shapes up, though, I don't think Gregorian Chant will be sitting just behind those leaders. I think the field may be a little strung out with some of those speeds up front, and he could have plenty of room to maneuver with Hernandez aboard. So Gregorian Chant, 5-1 on the morning line. If he's anything above 3, I think that's very fair value on Gregorian Chant. 3 best bets for Friday at Santa Anita. Remember, anytime you need help playing the races, get to drf.com, shop.drf.com for the PPs, the clocker reports, and the DRF picks every racing day at Santa Anita. Good luck on Friday. Good luck on Saturday, Pegasus Day. If you need help handicapping those races. My friend Barry Spears joined me to go through races 6 through 13 on the Saturday program at Gulfstream Park. I'll have a few thoughts on Santa Anita Saturday as well. Good luck on Friday.